Hi, this is Cherice Taylor. I'm the host of the Facebook page Time Matters. And today I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Shawn Laws-O'Neil. We've known each other for a long time, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you the opportunity now to introduce yourself and just let our audience know a little bit about what you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, my name is Shawn Laws-O'Neil, as Cherice said. I've been in the entertainment business, specifically television, for over 30 years now. I'm a veteran production executive, currently serving as co-executive producer on the CBS #1 primetime rated series Big Brother, as well as the spinoff series Celebrity Big Brother. I've also had the privilege of working on several other shows for the network: Amazing Race, Survivor, and Hunted, as well as on several other shows for several other networks, including ABC, Discovery Health, Fox, MTV, TLC. I had the pleasure of serving as supervising producer on A&E's The Jacksons: A Family Dynasty, which was a great special and series that was done regarding that family. And I also had the pleasure of working as a network executive for TV1, overseeing several shows for their network, and that was great as well. And separate from that, I also have my own independent production company, Half Pint Communications, which is a full-service special events and television production company, and I specialize in writing and producing for live events.
Wow.
That's me in a nutshell.
That's fantastic. You are a very busy person. So I wanted to talk about the entertainment industry, women in leadership, dreaming big. And as a young girl, what did you dream about? And along with that, what were some of the obstacles that you faced on your journey?
I think for me, my journey was a little different. There are a lot of people who, from a young age know what they want to do, whether that's doctor, engineer, nurse, what have you. And for me, I didn't necessarily know that. My family had a catering business, a well-established catering business, and I spent a lot of time working in that business. And I always thought that I would wind up working in that business. I used to spend all my vacations, all my time. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. They started out of their home and expanded it. My mother worked in the business. My uncles worked in the business. So it was sort of just I thought it would just be a natural progression for me. And I enjoyed my time in that business. As I got older, though, I realized that I wanted to find my own way and figure out what was really right for me, not just do something because that's what everybody expected of me, or nobody else in the family wanted to continue that legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, then I had to figure out really what was for me, and I really honestly didn't know. But I did know that it was important for me to go to college because there's just so many skills that you learn there in terms of problem solving, and just learning how to have different interpersonal skills with different people, and especially wanting to go away to college and move away from Los Angeles, where I was born and raised, and just experience different things, and learn how to just learn who I was as an individual, as a woman of color, and just kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So my journey was a little bit different in that regard, because I wasn't really sure. There's a lot of times that kids know exactly what they want to do. They'll go to college, and know what kind of program they want to get into. And I think sometimes when we don't know that and we're not sure of that, we, parents can sometimes get concerned because, of course, we always want to make sure our kids are successful. But I honestly feel it's an opportunity for a child to grow and really learn about themselves if you allow them some freedom and latitude to be able to do that. So what might seem like obstacles right now, in the end, is actually giving them an opportunity to explore and learn and grow.
So, which is great because, like you said, some people are still trying to figure that out even as adults.
Right.
What was your major in college?
I was actually a cultural anthropology major. And it's really funny because at the time, I think everybody, in retrospect, I probably should have been a psychology major, but at the time, everybody was doing psychology. And I was sort of a little bit of a rebel in that way. It's like I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing, but I'm just being honest. But
Right.
but cultural anthropology still, I still got that same. Um, that was still basically where my heart was in terms of learning about people, learning about
Hmm.
cultures, learning um, um, about different things along those lines. So it was sort of in that same vein, but just not down the psychology track. Because I know for me, I like, even though I am an introvert by nature, I do like engaging, with people. And in my mind at that time, I just saw a psychologist. You're sitting in a room talking one-on-one with somebody, and you never get out of an office. And it's like, okay, that's not for me. You just have a limited worldview at that time, at that
Right.
age, especially if you haven't been exposed to different people in different areas and seen, different ways that you could utilize, that degree. So that was, what I did at the time. And I think really, in my experience working in the television field, there are lots of people that come into our industry who knew off the bat that that's what they wanted to do. They went to school for that. And there's a lot of other people who come from different industries and then transfer into this world. I don't think you necessarily have to have, at least in my business, have a degree that was based in television production or even film production. It's about, being able to problem solve, be a strategic thinker, be an analytical thinker, having good interpersonal skills. If you are getting into a logistics side of things, those are all very, very important. If you're getting into the creative side, then obviously, yes, you do, want to have a creative mindset and be able to be a storyteller and things like that. But you don't necessarily have to have a degree in television production to be able to thrive in this business. And I think for me, when I got an opportunity, gosh, it probably was 2 months after I graduated, I got an opportunity to work at a small company that did television and radio. And I got in there and it just hit all the bells and whistles for me. I mean, in terms of just all the things that were my personality, all the things that honestly I had learned in my family business, all the things I never realized that I was learning, that my
Hmm.
grandmother, that my grandfather, that my mother were teaching me, that I learned from that process, from a business perspective, just from how to handle oneself, how to deal with issues and problems that come up, because in a catering business, you're dealing with lots of problems on the fly.
Right.
And so all that stuff was, I had learned so much. And so it was all translatable for me into, this industry. And so it was almost like an aha moment when I got into it. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I
You
figured
found
out
it.
where I figured out where I was supposed to be. And I haven't, 30 plus years later, I haven't left. So it's been great.
Wow. So, I mean, you just talked about a lot of things. You kind of weaved in some of the skills, some soft skills that cross industries, and it's nice to hear that you don't have to be pigeonholed into one area of study if you end up having an interest in something else. And so, one of my questions to you is going to be asking about pearls of wisdom that you can share with students in particular and their families who, at the end of the day, you hope to have the support from your parents or guardians and whatever it is that you want to do. So if there's anything that you want to add, even as you think about how you even define success, that you can share with our audience, that would be wonderful.
Right. Well, let's say I'd say in terms of defining success. I mean, look, the reality is yes, we all want to be able to provide an income for our families and be able to, you know, take vacations and do a lot of the wonderful things that we want to do and be able to retire well and, all those kinds of things. So there are a lot of people who value success based off, a certain amount of money or a title that they get and things like that and moving up the corporate ladder. And I am definitely not opposed to that, especially, for young girls out there and, even um, uh, kids of color, you know what I mean, that are, trying to go up that, that ladder. That's always obviously, a wonderful goal and all those things like that. I would say for me personally, what I have found over time, that was really important for me earlier in my career. But I find now that really when I evaluate shows, I really evaluate it more from my heart and then allow sort of the deal points to follow. So for me right now, working on Big Brother, it's a live show for 3 months. So it occupies a lot of my time. And I'm on call, all the time. So it does definitely uh, sometimes create some challenges of trying to figure out the work-life balance. But for me, at the end of the day, where my heart is and what I enjoy doing is really dealing with the talent relations, dealing with the cast, dealing with their family members, helping them through the struggles that are not just about the show, but are sort of bigger picture, life challenges and situations and walking people through that. So for me, at the end of the day, when I have to evaluate for me personally, am I successful? That to me, is successful. Because at the end of the day, I can lay my head down at night and feel like I've, done something that contributed, to our society at the end of the day. And not necessarily just have to worry about what my title is and what my salary is. And not that that's not important, because I'm very happy that I have, because I worked very hard to get a co-executive producer title. And there's lots of challenges, to that in this industry as in any other industry, especially, for women and things like that, trying to get promoted, up the ladder. So I'm very, very proud of that. But at the end of the day, for me, I think after 30 years, I sort of evaluate things a little differently now. I look at when I'm, as an independent contractor, I'm ready right now to look for a different project to fill in this gap. And, so I'm looking for opportunities where I can increase my skill set, or I might be able to do something I haven't done before. But I'm also wanting to make sure that it's a project that I can believe in, that at the end of the day, am happy that I've associated with that project, as opposed to doing something just because it's a title or just because it has a certain monetary value to it. In terms of other pearls of wisdom, I would say, I implore every student to really explore different areas, read different books, learn about people that are not like you. Not just that. Don't just focus on the areas of your interest. Don't just focus on the reading about the people that are like you. Read other books about other people. Read newspaper articles or magazine articles about other people. Get outside of your sphere of your world and your sphere of influence, as well. Take those opportunities to get involved with other organizations of people that are not necessarily like you, because as you are in whatever industry you decide to go into, whether it's entertainment or something else, you're always going to deal with people that come from different walks of life. And I think being a great leader to me is not just being able to be a good strategic thinker, not being able to have a good business acumen. It's also being able to be, an empathetic, listener, whether it's someone on your staff, whether it's somebody you're doing a deal with, whether it's a colleague, because there's a lot of things you're going to have to work through, and, being more open, and having more experience with, other people, is very, very, I think, instrumental and very, very helpful, in not just in your personal life, but in your business life as well, no matter what industry you go into. I would also say explore different industries, because you might think, oh, I love, I love science, um, but there could be something else that you're interested in as well. Or maybe it's not just science in the typical ways that you would think, that somebody that likes science, should go into. Maybe there's other areas that can be utilized that even might even bridge together what you think you want to do professionally, but also things that, are your interests and your hobbies where you might be able to find things out. So I guess always be curious, always be willing to explore, always, just always want knowledge is very powerful and very helpful. And so I think just getting that, information is really good. And then I think it's always nice to explore different areas that you can maybe gain some experience in an industry that you think you might want to get into, whether that is an internship or, for the most part, of the TV industry, on productions, it's really entry-level positions as a production assistant. So trying to get involved with those things, even if you're starting on the school level at your school, play or things like that, just sort of getting your feet wet. If there's different organizations that you can get involved in where you can gain some experience during your summer breaks, your spring breaks, if there are different, companies that you can call them up and say, hey, is there a way for me to just even, shadow, executive, or, meet with somebody? That would be great. Because I think the other thing that's really important is having mentorship. And I think, you don't always get an opportunity to do that, but I think having somebody that you can talk to and really just help you sort of, somebody that you can ask, questions to, and really be able to talk to in a way to find out a lot about that business and how it impacts every area of your life, not just your personal life, but your professional life. Is that really what you want to do? What does that look like? How do I get there? And then what does that look like 5 years in, 10 years in, 20 years in, 30 years in? If you decide to stay in that industry that long, you might, have some other great skill, and you never know, it could segue into something else. But I think having a mentor is great. And then at the end of the day, I think believing in yourself, really, really, really valuing yourself, and then not being afraid to dream. One of my favorite quotes is from Harriet Tubman. That every great dream begins with a dreamer, and you always have to remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. And at the end of the day, we have to, as an individual, you have to believe in yourself the most. Your, parents can do it, your grandparents can do it, you can have other people that do it, but you have to believe in yourself, and that will help you get through as you're looking for what you want to do and climbing up whatever that ladder is, whatever industry it is that you decide to get into.
Fantastic. You have covered everything that I was going to ask, and that included the pearls of wisdom. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me about that. And I know the information that you provided is going to be very helpful to someone. I always end my program with, remember, how you spend your time matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to be a part.
Thanks.